is.
All right, that's all the top Democrats are saying about cutting too much right now, so you can kiss your recovery goodbye if you do. Now, Democratic lawmakers worry that if you cut this spending too aggressively, you'll end up killing off a lot of jobs. So we thought we'd bring in a guy who knows something about getting jobs, recruiting for jobs. We're talking about executive search firm giant Gary Burnison, who says if you want growth, cutting has to be balanced, I guess. Gary runs Korn, Ferry, the big corporate recruiter. So play this out. What do we have to be careful of with cutting? Are they right when they say you go too far, you lose hundreds of thousands of jobs?
Well, there's some truth to that. You got to find the balance between stimulus and austerity. But as a country, you can't sustain a pace where for every $3 we spend $4. That's just not sustainable.
Well, they're saying, I guess, there's Republican efforts to, let's say Rand Paul wants to cut $500 billion. That's going to be like a shock to the economic system, and a lot of people are going to lose jobs. In other words, a double recession.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I think the bigger issue would be China, would be the Middle East, would be gas prices. I don't think it would be this proposal.
Okay, then I maybe had your point of view quite a little wrong. So you're saying what I first thought was the case with you, that go for it. Go for these big cuts, because if you don't, there's going to be trouble with the economy anyway, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a CEO running a global business. We can read a balance sheet. We have to delever over time. You know, we have to see the path so this doesn't become a $20 trillion deficit, you know, at the end of this next decade.
So from your vantage point, are bosses hiring more?
Yes, they're hiring more.
So what does Washington have to do with that right now?
Not much.
So who cares if Washington's spending?
Well, what as a businessman, what you want to see is the path, right? The path to deleveraging.
Well, they obviously must be a little more optimistic. And the fact that the unemployment rate's getting roughly back to what it was when the president took office, are they confident of the direction?
Yeah, but, well, I think there's some question now what's happening in the Middle East. It's hard to tell right now if it's late fall or early spring, right? But cutting $61 billion over 7 months, I mean, that's a drop in a bucket. I mean, that's 1%. That does not at all touch what
That's one of your CEOs.
Absolutely.
Well, what is their mood like now? We had the Forbes folks out here talking about their list, more billionaires, more people feel confident, they're taking advantage of the market, the wind at their backs, yada, yada. What do your guys tell you?
Well, you know, as a CEO, you're looking, you're looking outside the United States, you know, quite candidly for growth. I mean, if you look at the world's 6 billion population, right, and a billion of that is in one country, a billion is another country. I mean, CEOs are looking abroad for growth. I mean, as a country as America, over the last 20 years, we've overspent. And, you know, for us, it's a question of retooling and reschooling. That we're very much, I believe, at a crossroads that has to be dealt with. And neither party's really doing it.
I wonder, though, if you look at those kind of structural things in the U.S., you said like a lot of your members and you, and as you spread globally and all, are looking at opportunities outside the United States. You're still growing. You're still expanding.
Yep.
So what do we take from that?
Well, you take that the world's axis is tilted, and America is not necessarily at the center anymore. And I think as Americans, we have to realize that, and we have to do something about it. That over the last 20 years, maybe we've lost a little bit of our competitive edge, and we've got to get that back.
You're not in that, what's that Time magazine cover story, we're not #1 anymore, we might as well slash our wrists and all that. Are you in that camp?
Well, you know, the interesting thing about being an American, you don't appreciate being an American until you're out of America. And this country's great. Most countries around the world look to us for leadership, and we have to step up right now. We have to have a plan for the next decade.
All right. Well put. Gary, thank you very much. Very good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
Well, remember all of those housing relief and mortgage rework programs?